We're back with Dr. Kathleen Rousche from the NIH, and we're talking about resources at the NIH and at NHLBI for our innovators who are submitters, readers, and contributors to the Cardiovascular Digital Health Journal. So Dr. Rousche, we're really excited about learning more from the perspective of maybe an earlier stage innovator with a great idea about resources available for them. As well as perhaps some of our submitters have more robust, more advanced technologies with secured IP. Maybe they formed a company, and what resources might be available to them from an NIH perspective to advance their idea from concept to commercialization.
Sure, thanks for the question, Dave. Our office, the Innovation Office, was formed about 10 years ago. And we have filled it with product development experts that are specifically there to talk about how to transition technologies, from academia or from a small business to impact patient health. So we offer a lot of advisory services and product development services. We understand that innovators aren't often trained in these areas of how to move technologies forward. So the staff that we have on board has diverse expertise to drive our programs and support these activities to help innovators understand that development pathway and move their technology towards health. We have on staff an investor in residence, an IP specialist, 3 entrepreneurs in residence. They're focused in areas of reimbursement and regulatory strategy, business development and commercialization strategy, strategic partnerships, and health economics and outcomes research. We also have a small business coordinator that manages the day-to-day activities of all of our small business program.
So Dr. Rousche, do I have to be an awardee, an existing awardee, to access some of these services? For example, do I have to have a grant to get access to, say, someone to provide me with some regulatory or commercialization advice?
No, our team is available for one-on-one advisory services to answer any questions about programs we might be accepting applications for. If you have questions about, what you're expected to, the information you're supposed to put into your application, we can get you in touch with somebody from our team. If you are an awardee, we also offer a suite of activities that you can apply for. We offer targeted company support through a national mentor network. This is about 70 individuals with product development expertise. They offer their time to our small companies to help them understand whatever fundraising or intellectual property reimbursement. We also participate in outreach and partnering events that facilitate partnerships that might lead to private sector support for our small companies. One major event we do every year is support companies to attend conference showcases. So if one of our funded companies is accepted to attend a conference, we will pay their registration fee and also provide them with pitch coaching leading up to the event. So they're prepared to talk to innovators or strategic partners once they get to the event.
So Dr. Rousche, I'd highlight, and we're going to come back to an open application actually right now that's about to launch for CAPCAT that I've seen. There was an event that we had where one of your, I believe it was an entrepreneur in residence who provided some excellent pitch coaching to our awardees. And then we had an event where there were some large business, some larger companies like Boston Scientific, Johnson & Johnson, that were present. And in fact, there was an investment made for one of the people who received your coaching. So I've seen the impact because you're right. I think it's hard enough to be trained to be a scientist. It's even rarer to be a clinician scientist. But to really fully understand that pathway from idea to commercialization, I think it's important that we recognize what we don't know. And there are a lot of assumptions that we make that just because something works, that it's going to be commercially successful. And that just because we think it's a good idea, that everybody else is going to pay for it. And the reality is we have a really complicated healthcare system where some really good things that do good don't find a niche. if they're not thought about early on. And what you're talking about is providing access to people who have been there and done that. And I think that's not a role that a lot of people identify as being what the NIH does. So kudos to you, and thank you for telling our listeners about this.
Oh, no, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. We also, I can talk a little bit about our small business program.
Please, yes.
Well, we run a couple of different programs out of our office. We run proof of concept center programs for some earlier stage technologies through the NCI and REACH programs. And we also recently launched a Catalyze program. And that offers sort of a multiple funding mechanisms for early stage technologies. Excuse me, and that program is available to both academics and small businesses. So that doesn't sit in our office, but we're really well aligned with the Catalyze coordinator that's run out of the NHLBI.
So Dr. Rousche, would if people wanted to sort of review the menu of services and options, what can you refer them? And we can post this, of course, on our website, but can you tell them a little bit about where to go to find you and your team?
Sure. If you Google NHLBI SBIR or NHLBI Small Business, you'll hit our webpage, which has access, to most of our information. We have, you can follow us on Twitter. Most of us publish on LinkedIn if we have, programs coming up or deadlines coming up to access commercialization resources.
That's fantastic. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were talking a little bit about some of the small business support services.
Yeah, so our office really focuses on we coordinate the small business program, which is congressionally mandated program. And then we also run proof of concept center programs. A couple of our two proof of concept center programs we run are NCI and REACH. And they exist to develop early stage technologies and help innovators understand technology development and commercialization. They're interesting programs in that they offer project funds, but they also include project management, skills development, and non-federal matching components in an effort to enable successful lab to market transition. The newest proof of concept program we have is called Catalyze, and that supports heart, lung, blood, sleep innovators in early stage technology development. They can be academic innovators or they can be small businesses. And we also manage the small business program. The Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer Research programs are congressionally mandated, set-aside programs that are one of the largest sources of early stage capital for technology development in the US. The federal funds support small businesses developing projects with strong potential for commercialization. At the NIH, the Small Business Program invests over $1 billion into health and life science companies.
Wow.
At the Blood Institute, our small business budget is $117 million to support companies focused on projects within the NHLBI mission.
Very cool. So as a reviewer for the small business research grant, it's an interesting type of grant where you're applying for both, based on the science, but also you have to present your idea in terms of commercialization, right? What's the niche that this fills, and what's your business team look like? And so it's a very different type of grant program, but I've seen some real successes come from it, and I'm hopeful that in our next segment, maybe you can talk a little bit about what sort of the conveyor belt to success might be. Is it an early stage grant here, an SBIR phase 1, phase 2, and then maybe tell us a story or a use case of a heart-oriented project that you've seen kind of come through that pipeline. Does that sound okay to you that we tackle that in our next segment?
That sounds great.
All right, awesome. So stick around, folks. We're going to come back with Dr. Kathleen Rousche in just a moment, and we'll hear about a use case or a story of a successful startup that was supported by the NIH and went to market. So stick around.